Sorry?
Oh, it's case.
Yeah, this case is like audio input, not open. No, you're naughty. No, stop it. Coming at you from Gareth this week. Album suggestions, baby. Get Scraped by deadmau5. It's such a sweet album.
Last week, James was like, I'm going to choose one of my favourite albums from one of my favourite artists. And so I was like, you know what? That sounds like a fucking good idea.
And that's what he did it.
I went to one of my favourite artists, probably my favourite artist, and was like, what's my favourite album of him? And I was like, it's probably this one or his newest one. But his newest one is like 2 fucking hours long. So I chose this one.
Fairs. We did the Souffle Stevens last week, and now we're banging it. We're banging it out with deadmau5's debut album, 2005, Get Scraped, baby. I know Gareth is a huge fan of deadmau5. He's been listening to this album for like ever.
How did you know that?
Because I've known you for like ever.
You guys okay?
Now, there's a lot of different genres merging. Do the merge. Merge.
I've always been doing that.
I am merged.
He has to unmerge so he can remerge.
Merging on this album. And from knowing deadmau5's later work, you can hear a very talented producer exploring ideas, developing his style.
And it's interesting because there are a few songs on here that sound like his next 2 albums, which is where he really made his first style. But a lot of it isn't. And a lot of it is more like the sort of stuff he's doing on his modern album where he has more sort of breakbeat stuff. But this sounds more old school and less sort of Cthulhu-y and evil-y.
Yeah, it's not progressive house yet. It's you got a lot of glitch, you got a lot of hip hop beats,
break beats.
You got some techno. There's house in there, even a bit of breakcore. If you'll know what that is, if you watched our Venetian Snares video. Okay. You can hear him drawing influences from people on this album.
Oh yeah,
such as Boards of Canada.
Very obvious influence.
Even referencing them in a title of one of his tracks called Board of Canada. It's not a jab at them. He's just Canadian.
I think there's very obvious Aphex Twin reference. There's a few obvious influences in, but Try Again is incredibly Aphex Twin-y. Satisfaction, I feel like, is a very Benny Benassi style track.
Yeah,
uses the like Satisfaction-y sort of style.
Have you been reading my notes?
I haven't. I've been reading my own notes.
Oh.
We just have similar notes this week.
Now, James.
Hello.
This was your first introduction to deadmau5 in general, was it?
Well, I'd listened to deadmau5 before, but I'd never listened to one of his albums in full.
Okay. Well, I want to get your opinion on the song Waking Up from the American Dream, one of mine and Gareth's favourite songs on the album. Don't disappoint us.
Some mafia shit going on.
So it starts off with a nice little pad intro.
Yeah.
Keep talking. How does he get... Right. I'm going to use the term muted drums. But what is the actual processing that's going on behind those drums? Because they sound fucking awesome. I don't think it's just a traditional filter.
I think it's just filter sweeping, but there's definitely some sort of filter stuff coming in there as he's having them. Because in the beginning there's not many high ends, so it's a lot of that. But it's a lot of just smart producing, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of layering with interesting sounds, probably some live stuff layered in there.
I think that's what comes across most in the entire album. It's his ability to produce.
Yeah. It feels like he's exploring, doesn't it? Like he's walking around. He's got some walking around money. And he's fucking...
walking around money.
Big old walking around shoes, and he's plodding about.
He's fucking twisting a fader here. Twisting a fader.
It's a good song.
He's breaking faders off mixers right, left, and centre.
It's a good song. When the
pushing
drums...
all the fucking knobs.
Aye. And when the drums come in full, it sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The piano is pretty good as well. Good song.
I think I love the piano writing on this album, but it's interesting to see how his piano has developed. Because in this, the piano is a very sort of thin, sort of typical piano sounds that a lot of people use, as opposed to now he started using piano a lot again. But it's his very like big, beautiful piano sound that he does now, which
Yeah.
is sadly missing from this album because he didn't have millions of pounds to buy a
Well,
ridiculous piano at this point.
I think what you get from this album is also you can hear his fascination and love of the piano in this album. His use of it is just like it's very pure.
All over the place.
It's very like you'd find a lot of producers who would like distort the piano or like make it. He just likes the sound of piano and the way its chords sound.
Although I didn't like the track I Forget.
Yeah. Well, there were a few songs on this album which
I Forget was a bit like an interlude.
It was,
It's
but
sort of
it's
like
a
a
2
long
minute and
interlude.
41 minute.
I
2
love
minute
it.
and
I
41
think
minute.
it's very interesting, but it's definitely sort of one of those things that isn't really a song. It's kind of just a soundscape
Yes.
more than a song
But
itself.
it's a very long soundscape. And I didn't think it needed.
If you're
to
not
be
into
anywhere
it,
near
I can totally understand why you're
Yeah.
like, why is this so long? Why is this so
I
long?
Forget wasn't quite good as I Remember on his later work.
that. I haven't heard it.
We're gonna talk
Sucking
about
a Tony Cock there.
we're gonna talk about the other person who made I Remember in one of our next videos.
Are we?
Yes, we are.
Interesting.
Wait
Interesting.
for that.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
a Fatboy Slim vibe as well in the song "Edit Your Friends."
I can
Yep.
sort of see that. Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I
About that
really
song.
like Eddie Your Friends. I think it has an incredible melody. I think it's one of the best melodies on this album, as just a sort of song-wise.
Can I criticise your album?
No.
Your beloved album. Can I
I
criticise?
don't know why you criticise my album. We're talking about deadmau5's.
I know, but you chose it. You chose it.
You made it.
Okay,
Shit
go
album.
ahead.
Anyway, back to
Okay.
Deadmau5.
Okay. Stop trying to read my notes before I say it. Stop trying to get a handle on my.
Oh my
No,
god!
no,
Hurry
so-
up and
just
criticize.
Let me read this like a speech.
Okay.
Like all electronic music, it dates rather quickly, and this album has as well. There are some songs that just feel not so great anymore as the time has passed by, such as 8-bit.
I was literally thinking 8-bit. Yeah.
I don't like it.
Oshawa Connection, although being
I
a
like
great
Oshawa.
song, sounds like it could have come out of Mission Impossible.
No. It came out of the Matrix. 100%. That was a Matrix
I can do
chase scene song right there.
Yeah.
Or possibly another action film of a similar time.
I really like
No.
that song though. I think the guitar sample in that song is awesome and it has that arpeggiated bass synth. I really like it. 8-bit though, I will 100% agree with you. It sounds like it because it is just what its name is. It's just a progressive electro house song with just 8-bit sounds. And so
And a very obnoxious drum beat.
yeah, and at the time, that was kind of cool. But now it's sort of like people have done 8-bit and made it not sound so sort of 8-bit, you know? People have managed to make it sound like it's 8-bit, but actually sound good at the same time. And like, not good as in 8-bit stuff's bad, but good as in sort of well produced and like the sounds are a bit better. That's
Polished.
one thing I would definitely say about all of this album where it has definitely not aged well is the drums. A lot of the drums, especially on most of the house stuff like Intelstat and Satisfaction, stuff that's more like his more modern sort of house stuff. It's like his more modern sort of house stuff, but the drums are very sort of typical housey old school drums.
I like the housey old school
The
drums.
cymbals are quite harsh.
I thought they were
and-
simple, and they just came across as though they were like a really well-recorded drum
They
sample.
work. They
that
work in
wasn't
some
done
places.
Much to it.
They work in some places, and especially as he's such a good producer, they're all produced well. But some of them, especially 8-bit, a couple of us do get a bit to that sound where you're like, which I think is one of the things he does super well in his later stuff.
Get
Where
there.
all the drums in his later stuff are always really on point. And here, some of them.
It's one of Gareth's Jewish reactions to things. Okay. So, like I said, this was his debut album, 2005. In 2006, he came out with Vexology. Okay, now this is weird. This is a huge leap in a very short amount of time. You go to Vexology, and you're hearing the classic deadmau5 sound. That is like deadmau5 all over. It's that like very consistent, stylish, progressive house sound that we all know and love.
We're not reviewing Plastic Beach again, are we?
But yeah, it's weird how this album goes from like the 2005 album, very experimenting with the style and the genres, and then he kind of settles into what he knows is his destiny.
It is definitely interesting as well because you get that huge leap in the first year, and then from Vexology he goes to Random Album Title, which is very much Vexology like style again.
Yeah.
And so he settled very quickly as well. He went from doing all of this to picking like one or two of these songs and going, I'm going to do that. Then just doing that for like 2 albums straight. It's just that awesomely done before he then starts to evolve into his like next style.
Yeah. Okay. Favourite songs in the album, James?
Oshawa Connection.
Cool.
Intelstat. I thought Intelstat was actually really, really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
I thought it was probably one of the best progressive songs I've listened to in a very long time. I loved it.
Of course, that's the one that samples Ghost in the Shell.
Yep, sure.
The soundtrack of Ghost in the Shell.
Sure,
Yeah,
why not?
which is awesome.
And Edit Your Friends.
And he's played the OST for that live as well.
Yes.
Waking Up from the American Dream and Unspecial Effects.
Okay.
I thought most of the strong points were in the earlier part of the album, in my opinion.
I definitely
fair.
would say Oshawa Connection's up there. Intelstat is probably up there. It's a great song. I love Unspecial Effects. I love the sort of it has a sort of harpsichordy sound, which you know I love. I personally love as well Board of Canada and Edit Your Friends. And I mean, there's loads more I could say, but I'm just going to leave it there for now because I love a lot of these songs.
I'm going to go for Unspecial Effects, Waking Up from the American Dream, and Try Again. I'm going to give this album... I'm between a 7 and an 8. Make up my mind for me.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay, he's giving it a 7. You make up your mind, sir.
Well, I'll give it a strong 8 because I really love this album. I think
Strong
it's
8.
one of deadmau5's best, and I love this style.
Okay. I think for this album, because it's not quite like his sound yet and it's still experimenting, I do love some of these songs a lot, but as a whole album, it's going to have to be strong 7 from me here in the studio. We've had a wonderful day. I hope you're having a good day too. If you feel like it, you could always like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and give us like give us say like hi on Twitter or something.
Twitter, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah,